And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I was very interested when I saw Dice Crawl at Gen Con this year. It's from a new company called Soul Jar Games. I was interested in a couple reasons. One, dice. Yeah! Also, Jim Pinto. And I knew Jim Pinto's name because he had been involved with the world's largest dungeon, which is a gigantically humongous book. Biggest dungeon probably ever made for Dungeons and Dragons type games. And so I was like, oh, this guy knows dungeons. Here's a game with dungeons and dice. Well, that's what it is. It's a dungeon crawl of sorts. Watch my review before, and using dice. Kind of, sort of. Let me show you. Each player gets 25 dice of their color. That's kind of like the troops that you send into the dungeon. And a dungeon is randomly made from big pile cards to 5x5 grid. The center one is always a dragon. Okay, but the rest show pathways on them, show a number, and show dice, and sometimes show other things like this treasure here. Each person is going to get a piece, and the pieces in this game are cubes. I have no idea. That's such a weird, chintzy little component. I'm going to use it for now, but I immediately replace mine with meeples or something. So you'll start in the corner of the dungeon. So let's say I start here. You can rotate the tile any way you want when you first go on it. After that, though, you're kind of stuck on it. Each person's also going to get a race and a class. They'll draw from this race pile, which could be the orc, or the hobgoblin, or kobold, or werewolf, or lizardman, so on and so forth. The class one looks very similar. I could be an Avenger and save New York City. Ranger, alchemist, slinger, archer, so on and so forth. So let's say for this game here, I am going to be a high elf slinger. Now this gives me 6 possible special abilities that I have. Scout, reveal, rotate, another reveal, onslaught, and another scout. So I put these in front of me. And when it's my turn, I'm going to take 5 dice and roll those dice. Now I'm going to look at the numbers that I rolled. Here I rolled a 6, 6, 6, 3, and a 5. Now, I can put this 6 on this tile. I can put the 5 on that tile too, because I can't go any farther till I complete everything that's on that tile. So I would need to get a 2 on that tile. Another player can put 1 on that tile too if they want, which would let me go farther. But whoever has the most dice on a tile at the end of the game is going to get the points on that tile. Once I have that tile, then I can flip an adjacent one and rotate that one only when you first discover it to where you want to be. Move on to that and start working on that tile. And there's lots of different tiles out there. Some tiles have treasure on, like this one. You can put any treasure on that, any die on that treasure tile. But anybody else can take that from you by putting a higher die on that one. So if that's a 3, maybe green could put a 6 there and take that from me later on. At the end of the game, treasure tiles are worth 2 points, even if the whole thing isn't completed. And so there's different types of tiles. Some tiles, you'll notice have trails. Some tiles have special abilities that when you finish that tile, you will immediately utilize the special ability. Now another thing you can do is you can activate your own special abilities. You do those by, first of all, putting dice on them. So let's say I rolled 2 1s, I can activate my scout ability. If I roll double 3s, I can activate my slinger ability. Now they're not always all doubles. These happen to be doubles, but some of the cards will have different combinations of dice that you need to put down, and that's usually the class. Like for example, the alchemist here, a 1, 6, 2, 5, and a 3, 4 are the different, but you have to put them both down. You can't just put one down. Once you put them down, they're there for the rest of the game, but it gives you that ability. Now, this is a reveal ability. I can use it anytime I want as long as I sacrifice a die that's 3 or higher. This scout ability, any die that's 1 or higher. So that's basically any die. Sometimes they need an exact die roll, and sometimes they don't need any die roll at all. For example, The Ranger here, if I activate the bottom part there, it's roll +1. That simply means I get an extra die when I'm doing things. This shape changer here for the Necromage needs an exact 6 for that one to work. So players can utilize these, and the different abilities do all sorts of things. Some of them allow you to rotate tiles that are out on the middle of the board. Some allow you to, the shape change lets you trade one of your dice for an enemy die. A lot of the abilities have attack abilities, like this Avenger here, where you can attack someone else. You roll a die, and if it's higher than theirs, you can replace theirs with your own. You can even attack someone else's treasure die. In that case, you get to roll 2 of them. Other ones here reveal tiles that are next to you. Garrison lets you put a unit on an empty space on any tile. And so there's all different ones, and they have different powers and things. And there's also special expansions that you can get. The rules are in this book, but I found this an interesting thing. There's rules for the expansions in here, but they're not included. So what that means is if you do buy the expansions, you can then look in here for the rules for the different powers. Also, if you forget the powers of this game, there's also a card that lets you do that. Now, as you put these dice out on the board, you're going to have to draw 5 dice from your pile each turn when you roll them. Eventually, you're going to run out of dice because they're going to all be on the board. And when someone's down to 1 die or less, the game is over. Or if someone manages to get to this middle spot where the dragon is, then the game also ends. And you get 3 points for getting to where the dragon is. You get points for each tile that you control, the points that are on it, points for treasures, and for each of your die that's on someone else's tile that they control. Say blue controls this tile over here, but green had a die on it. Green would get 1 point for each die that's there. And that's how you play. Now this game is very simple. Okay, that's the first thing you gotta understand about this game. This game is simple. I'm reviewing another game today with my kids called Roll For It from Calliope Games, which is a very simple rolling dice game. This has a lot of similarities to that. And that's cool. It's cool that it's simple. I wish they would have allowed maybe 1 reroll. There are special abilities that give rerolls, and if I have my druthers, I will always pick one of those to take because rerolling is, in my opinion, the most useful ability in this game. And the fact that you roll dice with no rerolls could be maybe discouraging because you're just rolling dice and seeing what happens. With rerolls, you can decide which ones to keep and roll again. But Roll For It has that same sort of thing, no rerolls. So if I take that into account here, it's just simple roll the dice. The dice are pretty good. The yellow dice should have black pips instead of white. They're really hard to see. And the quality's fine. I would have preferred maybe a little bit more flair put into the dungeon, make each of the tiles look different. They all look almost exactly the same. The treasures look exactly the same. I wish they would have put more effort into the pictures and the stuff that's on there. And the races, they don't necessarily feel, I don't feel like I'm the dwarf. The dwarf has reveal, swap, and rotate. The archer has reveal, attack, and scout. I don't feel like I'm a dwarf archer. That doesn't really translate those special abilities. The idea of putting the dice on a special ability instead of putting them out into the dungeon is a good one. I like that one. And I think after playing games of this that you should only activate 2 or 3 of your special abilities at most, because you don't want to tie up too many dice there. Which ones you pick is up to you. So, is this game good? You're asking and wondering, which is maybe why you're watching a review. Actually, you're probably watching a review because you'd never heard of this game before. But yes, but super light. There's not a lot of strategy, not even a lot of tactics. You just roll dice and kind of put them to where you want to put them. Maybe make some choices about what special abilities you're going to use, but the game gets more interesting as it goes along, and then you run out of dice. Game is very quick, so there's that. Someone will run out of dice very quickly, and games will play out pretty much the same. So if you're looking for something super light, then this will work for you. I still wish some more effort had been put into the graphic design. I think it could have been a more, even the box itself isn't that attractive. It just, I don't know what, it looks like a VCR cassette actually. An old one. Dice Crawl. Watch it. Get it straight to VCR. Anyhow, I'm getting off track here. I like it. Not a ton though. Didn't really do a lot for me. Just kind of mindless, simple fun. And if that's what you're looking for, I think you'll enjoy this. If you want something more than that, you probably should look elsewhere.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool Stuff in stock. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com.
Shut the door.